Today, the World Health Organization said the greatest disease threat is not Ebola or AIDS, but bacteria that resist antibiotics.
One day, the efficacy of these antibiotics simply will be gone.
More than 1.2 million people die every year of untreatable infections across the globe.
Wonder drugs aren't as wonderful as they used to be.
Organization said the greatest disease threat is not Ebola or AIDS, but bacteria that resist antibiotics.
One day, the
Without
efficacy
them,
of these
all hell breaks
antibiotics
loose.
simply will be gone.
We will end 2 million people
All
die
of modern
every year of
medicine
untreatable
sits on the
infections across
shoulders of
globe.
antibiotics.
Wonder drugs aren't as
This is
wonderful
one
as
of
they
the
used to be.
most significant
Organization said
existential
the
threats
greatest
to
disease threat is
humanity.
not Ebola
sitting
or
on a
AIDS,
tumble.
but bacteria
1932,
that resist antibiotics.
One day, the
Without
efficacy
them,
of these
all hell
antibiotics
breaks loose.
simply will be gone.
You will remember you having a favorite
Modern
movie.
medicine
I definitely
sits on the
have a favorite.
shoulders of
This is your
Wonder
antibiotics.
drugs aren't as
This is
wonderful
one
as
of
they
the
used to be.
Following IB
most significant
championships, I remember having the
existential
bracelet
threats
set
to
at one knee
humanity.
on my left hamstring.
Sitting on a tumble.
I didn't think that much of it. As a gymnast, you're always working through aches and pains. It's just
Without
part of the
them,
sport.
all hell
Over the
breaks
course of the
loose.
week, nothing seemed to be making it better.
You will remember you having a
I
favorite
remember
movie.
meeting my mom.
I
I
definitely
was
have a
looking at her
favorite.
eyes and tell me she
Wonder
was
drugs
upset.
aren't as
This is
wonderful
one
as
of
they
During the
used
week
to
following
be.
IB, she took me right to the emergency room. I remember having the bracelet set at one knee on my left hamstring, lying on that table. I didn't think that much of it. As a gymnast, you're always working through aches and pains. Shaking
Without
on his
them,
favorite chills. Over the course of the week, nothing seemed to be making it better.
You will remember you having a
I
favorite
remember
movie.
meeting my mom. I was looking at her eyes and tell me she
Wonder
was
drugs
upset.
aren't as
This is one of
During the
the
week following IB, she took me right to the emergency room. Took me into emergency surgery. Skin on my left hamstring, lying on that table. I didn't think that much of it. As a gymnast, you're always working through aches and pains. Shaking on his favorite chills. Over the course of the week, nothing seemed to be making it started getting broad spectrum antibiotics.
You will remember you having a
I remember meeting my mom. These antibiotics were working to tell me she was upset. In that moment, I was during the week following IB, she took me right to the emergency room. Took me into emergency surgery. Skin on my right hamstring. Lying on the table, seeing that much of it. Deep so after my anxiety, shaking on his favorite eyes. And I had nothing seemed to be really starting to get broad spectrum antibiotics. I remember meeting my mom. These antibiotics were working to tell me she was upset. In that moment, I was during the week following IB, she took me right to the emergency room. Took me into emergency surgery. Skin on my right hamstring. Lying on the table, seeing that much of it. Deep so after my anxiety, shaking on his favorite eyes. And I had
To show you how it works, let's say you choose Peter Pan.
She took me right to the
There are hundreds of stories to choose from, all medical from first to show you
Hello, good evening. Mr. Kwashi, please, is it possible to check if you can share your screen because I have made you a co-host. I'm pausing it.
Okay, so let me just check. Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's possible to share my screen.
Okay. I don't know if Joshua is on. I don't know which.
Okay, so because he's supposed, let me just call him now. Let me call him now and find out. He's supposed
Okay.
to present first, then I'll follow through. Let me just.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So in the meantime, I'll continue the video we're watching. It is one
Okay.
of the
Okay, all right. Okay.
Every day does count, and there's more things that I need to do.
AMR's a big problem in hospitals across the world. But as you go south into the developing world and low-income countries, this becomes much, much worse. About 1/5 of the deaths every year are in sub-Saharan Africa. This is more important as a cause of death than HIV.
Good morning. Hello. Are you okay? Ghana is one of the hotspots in terms of antimicrobial resistance in sub-Saharan Africa. This is a huge burden for us as a country. Overuse of antibiotics is common in the community and in Ghana. A lot of people lack the adequate knowledge, and they have no idea how to prevent and control infection. So education is key.
The summarized National Action Plan on AMR, because we need to disseminate the information to our staff.
We started antimicrobial stewardship in LECMA in 2019. Effective antibiotic stewardship ensures that there's creation of awareness among our staff, the community. It ensures that there's training and policies put in place for prevention and control of infection. We have mild, we have moderate, we have severe, and that will help you actually make a decision on what to do. Because it's not in all cases of asphyxia that you actually want to put the child on antibiotics.
So we all need to be stewards of the antimicrobials we have. We develop educational materials, both for the clinical staff and then for the public. They need to understand that antimicrobial resistance is real.
Your temperature is high. How did you know your temperature is high? You touched your body and it was hot. Okay. As a facility, we have adopted a delayed prescription. Bring out your tongue. Say, So for those that we think have viral infection, we would delay their prescription until we have seen that result. Okay. Most of the time, it's usually viruses that cause the infection. So I want to see that result before I decide whether we have to treat with an antibiotic or not. In Ghana, the first point of call for a sick person is the pharmacy. Somebody can walk into a community pharmacy and have complaints of cough, cold, whatever it is, and be given an antibiotic without a prescription. It results in abuse of these drugs. To get a positive outcome, we need to involve the community pharmacists and train them on antimicrobial stewardship. For the past 2 years or more now, we have actually had a much lower percentage antibiotic use in the hospital than that of the original target that we have been given. It's not only practiced in the hospital, at community level, the patients who fall ill, they know what to do to prevent the diseases like infection prevention and control. I would like to see in the nearest future where every single clinician, every pharmacist or prescriber, even the patient is fully aware of antimicrobial resistance.
Of course, when we get new antibiotics, when I was Chief Medical Officer, wanted to put them in a safe and lock them up, because the more they're used, the more resistance will rise to them. So we need to keep them, steward them for the patients who really need them. And that limits the profit that any company can make.
Are you coming towards the end of your career? and you're starting to worry that you've run out of time to build the life you always wanted. I got to 60, and it dawned on me that as things were, I was never going to have the house at the beach, the money to travel, or the pensions and savings that I needed in these somewhat turbulent times. But in this video, I'll show you how I managed to turn that around and get to the life I always imagined and the pension that I thought I deserved. You see, my wife and I, we sold up everything in London and bought a place out here in the Alentejo in Portugal, and we turned it into a cafe restaurant and a bed and breakfast. And then 2020, no guests, no income, literally on my laptop day after day watching my savings sucked out by living expenses. And there was nothing I could do. I mean, I couldn't travel to get another job. And then a friend of mine said I should take my experience and see if I can do something online. You see, the online world is booming. More and more people are going online. And I can't think of any career or any job in any industry that doesn't translate to an online income if the right skills are applied. So I thought, good idea. So I went online, and after 2 or 3 weeks, I came across this crowd of people who offered to help. If you click the link below, might be above on your computer, I'll send you their details. And they offered some free training videos, chat groups, and some help. And it was really amazing. I mean, the whole thing has just changed so much for me. Now I know what you're thinking. You're way too old to ever go online. I mean, the kids these days, they're literally born with an iPhone in their pocket. They seem to have such an advantage. But they don't have experience. And you have experience, and it's so easy to learn the online stuff. You click and drag, you build things, you click, you...
In one sense, the drug companies can't win, but I believe they owe it to humanity to do something.
They're gonna have to amputate my leg?
An ear infection? I've had 10 of them myself.
What we have to find is a way to pay for the drugs however much you need and use. But
All right, good evening once again. We'll be starting very soon, the next 5 minutes. Just to find out if Joshua, you can check if you can share your screen, your co-host now. Please check for me, Joshua. Thank you.
Joshua is there, and so yeah, okay.
Fantastic. All right, sure. So, thank you. So, Dr. Mofa, we will start at 7 o'clock in the next 5 minutes, right?
A plus or minus a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So, Joshua, you can please stop sharing. Once it's time, we'll call you. Thank you.
Thank you.
AI, artificial intelligence, has some dangerous connotations, right? So I like to reframe it not as AI, but IA, intelligence augmentation. And I think we're going to see IA infuse all elements of our life. It's going to infuse everything from a physician standpoint about how I do a smarter workup and diagnosis. And when I figure out a condition you might have, I'll be able to do a much smarter, more cost-effective, and more timely therapy, given how many mistakes we have, how many misdiagnoses we do, how big a problem medical mistakes are. I think AI or IA can play a really impactful role. It'll be something you have embedded in all your smart devices that will help track your health and give you empowerment as a consumer and a patient to take care of your own health and that of your family. And it's already starting to happen with Watson having gone to medical school. We can access the API for Watson with our mobile devices. They're partnering with the Apples of the world and the Medtronics. And I think it really has the opportunity to shift healthcare from the practice of medicine to the real science of medicine. So robotic surgery, even remotely, isn't science fiction. Companies like Intuitive Surgical have had advanced surgical robots for over a decade. They require often the surgeon to be there in the booth doing the procedure. It's even been demonstrated that that can happen across the planet. The real opportunity is we kind of fuse AI, imaging, sensors, is in some cases for some of these robotics to become semi-autonomous, to de-skill advanced surgery so that in a remote village with the right robotics, maybe a local country doctor can facilitate and enable more of a complex surgery that could never happen based on where the patient may be, whether it's on space station or Mars or in remote India, for example. So robotics blended with AI, blended with analytics and smart imagination, I think can really transform healthcare.
Yeah, James, you can start.
Hello, good evening. I hope you can hear me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we'll be invited later. So, Joshua, sorry.
All right. All right. Good evening to all of us, and thank you so much for making time to join us for our public lecture, scientific session for the month of September, which also happens to be our third for the year. And this is Ghana Public Health Association. Sebi, thank you so much for joining us. This is one of our scientific sessions that we've been having, and the purpose is to also share ideas. So thank you so much for coming. I'm hoping that by the time we go through this discussion, you get something you can share with the rest of the world and those around you. We have a very short program outline. I'll say the word of prayer, after which I will welcome Dr. Moffat to give his remarks, and then we'll go straight into the introduction of our speakers, and then we'll take the presentations one after the other. And depending on how the time goes, we may take questions one after each presentation, or we can box all together and take the answers afterwards. So let's start with a short word of prayer from me, after which we will continue. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together today to have this discussion. We are humbly requesting that you help us to understand and help us to know how to position ourselves in the years ahead of us. We pray for those who are yet to join us. Please bring them safely. And together we have a very good session. And when we close, we shall indeed thank you very much. We thank you so much for answering us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So at this moment, please call upon Dr. George Amofa, who is our president, who has welcome address. Dr. Amofa, please, over to you.
Yes, to thank you so much, and to thank you, colleagues, for another exciting evening. And I'm hoping that if you are not speaking, you will mute yourself so that we don't have feedback from you. Doctor, yes, one of the things that has fascinated me in the past was a passage in scripture in Revelation, in the book of Revelation, which says that in some time to come, we may not be able to eat or buy anything unless you have the mark of the beast or something on your forehead, and you will not be able to enter. I mean, that looked so far and almost impossible. But how is it that something, a mark on your forehead, will enable you to enter and also to buy? But prophetically, I'm sure things have over turned it, and is now a common feature. Then recently, there have been almost like an epidemic of things in the social media where people say this person is saying this, another saying this person is saying this, and then there will be a counter argument saying that no, it didn't come from that person, but somebody is mimicking him or her, and all sorts of that. And you could see the excitement that had been emerging, I mean, on social media. And I always caution my people that don't just be too quick to judge when you don't have all the facts available, because even though it's a video you are seeing, it may not necessarily be from the person you think is coming, or the face you are seeing may be a prototype of somebody. And as a scientist and as a public health expert, I definitely became interested in this area and decided, is it possible to learn things about this, especially in the health sector? I mean, because we are committed to science, new information, new technology, I mean, for the benefit of humanity in general. And that has been the mission of the Ghana Public Health Association, that from time to time we take topical issues of importance, of public health importance, and try to delve into it and see the policy implications and whatever needs to be addressed. And so we are excited to have you this evening to share and listen to the experiences of some experts in that area, and we will definitely acknowledge them shortly and introduce them. But I think it's an exciting opportunity for all of us to learn more. In fact, you cannot learn more than enough. As a public health expert, you or physician or whatever your profession is, you need to learn more and more, and that is our mission. That is our mandate, to increase the knowledge and capacity of people. And so we want to thank the presenters. You will hear a lot from them. And I must say that I'm excited to have somebody who has offered even to also be part of this when he was not even invited. Mimisa, the Deputy Director for NITA, he will also be introduced later and make one or two comments, because that is also his area. And so I want to invite first Mrs. Wilhelmina Okwabi, our Financial Secretary, to do the introduction. He will introduce each of them as they present, in order not to confuse us. And so you first introduce Joshua, and then after Joshua's presentation, he will introduce Mr. Sam Kwashi. Over to you, Wilhelmina.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amefa. I'm also very excited this evening to have a rich resource for the scientific session this time around again. And we have Mr. Joshua Pokrajima, well known as the IoT or Internet of Things evangelist. He is a remarkable and inspiring individual with a passion for technology and its ability to transform the world. He is the president of the Ghana STEM Network, co-founder and president of IoT Network Hub, co-founder and chief evangelist officer at STEM-Aid of Africa, and a mentor for Ghana Science and Technical Explorer Challenge, right? The Junior Achievement Business Competition, Digital Inclusion Hackathon, Annual Impact Roundtable Discussion, and Robotics Competition, among other STEM-related programs in Ghana, are part of his achievement. Joshua is driven. He's a driven and visionary leader who has earned numerous accolades for his contributions to the STEM field, including recognition by the African Entrepreneurship Award, a featuring in Forbes magazine and the United Nations Development Programme, Artificial Intelligence for Development magazine, among others. He won service through STEM and Youth Volunteer Program Awards by the Mentorship and Volunteerism Excellence Awards in 2023. He is a guest lecturer at the School of Engineering at the University of Ghana, a mentor and judge to Assessing Entrepreneurship Capstone Program, Regent University House Prize, among others. He sits on the technical committee of the National Innovation Challenge by the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. He's a board member of Noni Hub, an executive director of Artificial Intelligence Association of Ghana, and he has been instrumental in a number of stakeholders' engagement meetings, including the drafting of the National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy by NESI, the National Digital Economic Policy, the National ICT Regulation Policy, among others. Joshua is dedicated to using his knowledge and skills to create a better world. And he believes that technology can be a powerful force for good in transforming Africa. Joshua's enthusiasm for solving problems with technology is infectious. And I believe we are going to be infected this year. He inspires others to pursue their passions and make a positive impact on their community. He is a respected and influential figure in the STEM community in Ghana and beyond. And his dedication to creating a brighter future for all is a testament to his character and leadership. And so I think with this background, I am poised, I don't know about you, to have a really eventful evening. Joshua, your audience, and thanks for coming.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm sharing my screen. Please let me. If you can see it. Hello?
Not yet. I think it's
yes, we are now seeing it. Yes. Yeah, Joshua, you can see it, and so you can go on.
Okay, all right. Good evening once again. I'm very happy to be here to share the knowledge and what is happening in our world of technology as well with you all. I'm also here to learn as much as possible on how possible we can work together to build local innovations in the area of technology. My name is Joshua Pukwajiman, and I'm the current president for the Ghana STEM Network. It's a network of STEM practitioners in the country driving STEM education. In 2016, I co-founded IoT Network Hub as an organization to champion emerging technologies in Ghana and beyond. When I was 19, I started my first company called Personet, and that too has been a startup I've been running for the past years. You can connect with me on the various social platforms on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Today, we see a lot of changes happening in our world today with the rise of driverless car, drone technologies, space exploration, genetic engineering, among others. One might ask, why is this happening at this time, at this moment? And that will take us back to history. Back in 1765, where what we call the Industrial Revolution started. So before then, the current, hello? Oh, if you can hear me, I'm continuing. So
Yes,
before
Joshua.
then, we have what we call the first Industrial Revolution. And this revolution is what inspired the invention and working in factories. Before then, most of the works were all geared towards agriculture. So the first Industrial Revolution defined how the world was going to be built from hence. So from the first Industrial Revolution, we had the second Industrial Revolution, which was driven by the invention of electricity and the discovery of oil. This gave birth to a whole new industry, a whole new technology that changes the way we work and live our life. From there, we came to the third Industrial Revolution back in 1969. That's where we discovered computers and the internet. So when computers and internet were discovered, it created a whole new industry, the digital age. And this industry was powered by your ability to use a computer, your ability to use softwares, among others. Today, we're seeing another revolution happening called the fourth industrial revolution, and which is driven by what we call emerging technologies. And AI, artificial intelligence, is one of the major technology that is being riding the waves we see today. So in my presentation today, we're going to look at the convergence of some of these emerging technologies and how they're going to reshape our future. So when we look at the fourth industrial revolution, we are going to be experiencing a burn of boundaries between the physical world, the digital world, and biological worlds. So what it means is that we are going to see the invention or innovation of new technologies that's going to bridge the three gaps together. For example, we've seen the rise of wearables or smart devices that we put on our body, from the smartwatch to the Fitband, and a lot of smart wearable devices coming up. These are all digital devices that are going to be connected to our physical world and collect our biological data for insights and analytics. So we're going to see a lot of this happening very soon. The fourth industrial revolution is also going to create a fusion of advances in artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, 3D printing, genetic engineering, among other emerging technologies. So we're going to see these technologies converging together in all sectors of our economy, redefining how those industries and economy are going to look like in the future. The first technology I will touch on is Internet of Things, or IoT. And with IoT, we're basically looking at connecting everything to the internet. So just like we have our computers, our laptops, our smartphones being the devices connected to the internet, with the IoT evolution, we are going to connect everything. So in the hospital, for example, first of all, the building is going to be connected to the internet. The lighting system, the ventilation system, the beds, every single thing in the hospital are going to be connected to the internet. Now, one might ask, why do we want to connect all these things to the internet? Because we want to collect data. So for example, we want to collect data in the environment, weather conditions. As patients, we need this data for their comfort experiences of the healthcare they are enjoying. So it's going to be very helpful, insightful for all this data to be able to be collected. So for example, we could have a smart bed that could be able to tell occupancy of beds available at a hospital. So at any point in time, you know which beds are occupied, which beds are free, what time was occupied, what time was free, among others. So these are all things that we're going to see in the hospital. One of the use cases of IoT is the invention of the Happy Fork. That's a smart fork. So these are forks with sensors embedded in them. So while one uses fork, we're able to collect insightful data. So with this, we'll be able to track eating habits of people, the eating pattern of people, what they eat for breakfast, for lunch, the temperature of the food they are eating. All these data are going to be generated. Even how fast they eat, all these are going to be generated from just using a smart fork. And we are in the evolution where data or information is everything. And the company that's able to have a lot of this data is able to create more value for their customers and users. So with this fork, while you're using it, it's able to track your eating habits. If you're eating too fast, it vibrates to tell you to slow down, because too much or too fast of eating, you could be choked, right? It's also able to tell the temperature of the food. So if the food is very hot, it's able to vibrate to notify you that you have to wait for some time before you eat. All these are data that are going to be collected from using the smartphone. We also see the rise of smart toothbrushes. So with smart toothbrushes, we will be able to monitor the hygiene of everyone who uses a smart toothbrush, number of hours or minutes they spend brushing, how frequent they brush, and all that. These data are also going to be collected from using a smart toothbrush. We have a smart egg tray, which is able to give us insight into how the frequency at which we spend or we consume eggs at home, the number of eggs we have spent within a period of time, the state of the eggs, whether they are going bad or not. All these are going to be monitored on our smartphone from wherever we are. We also seen the likes of a smart dustbins on the streets powered by solar that is able to tell the level of the bin and also alert the collectors whenever they are full. So with this, we'll also be able to tackle some of the hygiene issues that we face. We've seen the likes of smart weather station where we can have access to real-time weather information on our phones. And these are all some IoT use cases that is driven by AI. There's also a smart socks. So these are socks with sensors embedded in them that is able to help us to track the number of steps we walk in a day, the speed at which you walk, the calories we burn, and all that. So by wearing a smart socks, all this data and insight are going to be generated on our phones. So this and many are the innovations that are coming in the area of convergence between IoT or sensors and AI. And in the field of robotics too, there's a lot of convergence between IoT, AI, and sensors all coming together to create different use cases for different sectors of our economy. And when we talk about robotics, we're basically looking at the design, manufacturing, and assembling of robots for either personal or commercial use. Meet Sophia. Sophia is the world's first robotic citizen. Sophia has been granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia, and Sophia had access to basic human rights. He's able to host programs, conduct interviews, and speak at conferences across the world. We also have this medical robots, surgical robots called the DaVinci. So this robot is able to help in surgical errors, minimize the surgical errors during surgery, and it's been able to help save thousands of patients that is being used in the developed countries. So very soon we are going to see a lot of these robots in almost all the hospitals in our world. This is also another robot called the Xenex germ zapping robot. So the robots use an ultraviolet rays, which is able to kill bacteria in the hospital during surgery. So according to a report, anytime surgeries are being performed, there's a high chances of bacteria being spread through that. And this robot is going to help to disinfect the hospital and make sure as many bacterial infections are killed using the ultraviolet ray lights. So that's also another robot that's being used in the surgery. This is also another robot called a Pyro. Just like every old person or patient with dementia would need access to a pet to help them with stress, among others. This is also a robot that's able to help in that area. It's a device that's provide benefits as same as an animal therapy without necessarily relying on live animals. And it's used extensively with elderly patients with dementia, and it has been proven to be helping in reducing stress and comfort, providing comfort as well. So there are a lot of robots also coming up in so many use cases. These are just a couple of them. Now, when we look at AI, which is artificial intelligence, what the world is trying to do with AI is to basically be able to build some sort of intelligence into machines. So just like now sensors, everything going to be having sensors embedded in them, there's another development called edge computing, where we are going to be having AI also embedded in the sensors, so that they can be able to process information at the point of data collection and make smarter decisions without necessarily having human intervention. Now, when we look at AI, we're looking at a collective of intelligence being built into systems or machines to be able to think like humans. And mostly in our movies, we see them being portrayed in the form of robots or in the form of machines, like Terminator and the rest as well. And that is what the narrative or perception of what AI should look like is. But at the moment, we haven't gotten there yet. The journey started with a computer scientist called Alan Turing back in the 1950s. He was building a software that could help mimic the human intelligence. And that's what started the whole journey of the AI race. From 1950, we had a 1955 where the term AI was born. So from 1955, artificial intelligence was coined and was recognized as a word to be used in the direction of building intelligent machines. The development went ahead, so we had most of us get to have an experience of the Apple Siri in 2011 when Apple iPhone 4 was launched. So the 4S was, it had integration of Siri, where you could be able to use your voice to be able to have interaction with your phone. From there, we have the IBM Watson also coming up. Then the development of the Amazon Alexa into their Amazon Echo and all that. This also propagated the wide usage of AI for users and consumers. Today, we have the likes of what we call the generative AI, which we'll look at it. Now, when we look at AI, we put them into three different types or categories. We have what we call the weak AI. So these are AIs that are good at performing specific tasks. So when it comes to, let's say, facial recognition, analyzing image, solving specific problems, they're able to do that and do that better than even humans. So these are the areas we call the weak AI. But then when we talk about strong AI, we are looking at being able to have a whole intelligence of a human like in a machine. So that's what we mostly see or portray in movies. And that's where the world is heading towards now. We are not there yet, but there's been some progress along the line. And that's the hope that one day we'll be able to build machines that can mimic the entire human intelligence. There's been a branch of or different subsets of AI called generative AI, which most of you might be familiar with. So with generative AI, we're looking at an artificial intelligence that focuses on creating new or original content autonomously, such as images, it could be text, it could be music, it could be videos, among others. And the difference between generative AI and then the traditional AI we mostly known of is that the traditional AI, which is the weak AI, are specifically addressing specific problems and making decisions, or for decisions making, using existing data and algorithms that have been programmed. But when you look at generative AI, it's able to create something that do not literally exist at the moment based on the information that had been trained with. So we'll look at some of the applications of generative AI that's out there. And one of the most popular one is the ChatGPT 3.5. Hello. So with the ChatGPT, it's a generative AI developed by OpenAI, and it's able to generate contents like summary, your first draft of your research work. It's able to respond to emails, generate context for you. It's able to write programs, among others. So that's one of the use cases of generative AI. We also have the like of DALL-E, also by OpenAI, where you can generate images from just a text command. So by typing in a text command, it's able to generate images or photos for you as well. And there's also another AI system called Midjourney that's able to generate hyper realistic images which do not exist. So these are all images that AI had generated from data that had been used in training them. This is also a video created by AI. So the human being speaking do not exist. So that human do not exist. The black guy on the screen, it was AI generated. So it also means that you'll be able to create content and materials by putting a command. There's also a personalized AI called Pi, which is designed to be your personal companion. And it's able to engage with you and have a very friendly conversation as if it's a woman or it's a human being. Right. So these are all AI tools that is being used out there. Now, when you look at the benefit of AI, it comes with a very wide range of benefits across all sectors. From the medical angle, we have the generative AIs that are being used at the medical sector. So we have for medical simulations where AI systems are being used to simulate a lot of outcomes in the medical field. When it comes to drug discovery too, thanks to AI, COVID vaccine was being able to bootstrap within the period of less than 2 years. Usually would have taken so long for us able to get a vaccine ready, but because we have access to data and we have better technology and systems, we're able to speed up the processes. So when it comes to drug discovery, AI really helps a lot in that area. We also have a lot of medical chatbots today that are helping with prescriptions, among others. Medical imaging as well, when it comes to radiology and all that, the X-ray scans and that, we now have AI system. Even in Ghana here, we have a startup called MinoHelp, which is working in this area, building AI systems that can help radiologists speed up their processes and work with diagnostics, among others. The area of medical research too as well, we have a lot of AI systems that's being used in that space. When it comes to patient care, there are AI systems that are able to engage patients in conversations to help them in a form of therapy as well. And these are all some of the tools out there that is being used in generative AI. In the broader landscape of AI, beyond generative AI, it's also being used in a lot of sectors as well, from gene editing. Today we have technologies that can help us edit the DNA of humans, and this is also being accomplished by the use of AI in the area of cancer research, among others. We use AI a lot in these areas. There are also dangers that comes with the technology, just like all the revolution we had. If you look at the previous revolution where steam engine was discovered, it came with their own challenges. When oil and electricity also was discovered at the time, people were even scared of electricity, that it could burn houses and all that. Oil too as well had their own challenges at the time. And when internet and computers also came to, they came with their own challenges and dangers. It's not different from the era we live in now. With the rise of robotics, AI, IoT, and the rest, it also comes with their own challenges as well. And some of the major challenges that we're going to be seeing, or we started seeing today, is the lack of transparency when it comes to AI. Because of the models being so complex to understand how it actually works, it became difficult to figure out how we can be able to build a well-secured and transparent AI. When you look at the area of job losses too, there's been a lot of predictions that by 2030, 800 million workers are going to lose their job to automations and AI. And the risk or the challenges keep coming up. So with robotics, we're literally going to have robots in all sectors, even in education, everywhere you can imagine. We're having AI and robotics automate most of the jobs. There's also bias and discrimination in the area of AI because most of the data that is being used in training the global AI systems that we use, it does not include data from our demographic, enough of them. So in that case, you're not able to have this AI system be able to recognize data coming from our parts of the world. So there's a need to ensure that we can also be building our local data sets and local data models that we can also use. In the area of privacy and concerns as well too, in the area of privacy concerns, with IoT and sensors getting into everything, now one might ask, who is going to be hosting my data, my biological data, my health data, my personal data, and all that? It became a very critical concern because as we start to adopt all these technologies, the key goal of all these technologies is to collect data and to process data, and privacy become a very concern. Ethical also is another issue when it comes to AI. Who do we hold accountable when an AI system goes wrong? Is it the user, the company that developed it, or who do we hold accountable? So these are some of the concerns as well. Security is also another critical challenge. When an AI system gets hacked or compromised, or a smart system, or even a surgery system get compromised, how do we ensure that we keep them safe so that nobody can be able to hack or attack them? We also look at economic inequality, where corporations and the rich people, super rich people, are going to now be using a lot of AI tools, hence creating more economic benefit for themselves, whilst majority of the people might not have access to these tools and opportunities as well. And then the spread of what we call deepfake, where people are now using AI tools to create informations and content that are not true. So misinformation through deepfake is also another challenge we look at. And then finally, the loss of human connections. The more we get dependent on these AI tools, it's becoming difficult to build a social bond, because today most people are more connected with their AI tools than they would want to have with humans. So these are some of the major challenges that we're facing and going to be facing as these technologies advances. I think that will be ending of my presentation. So this research is what was conducted on the future of work that's outlined that by 2030, robots and AI are going to replace 800 million workers globally. I will end here, and I'll be happy to take some questions. Thank you.
So this one is me. Yes, that's
Mrs. Well, I mean, because most of these things are going to be interconnected. Introduce the second speaker, and then after the second speaker's presentation, we will take the comments and the questions.
Okay, thank you again. And I think it's been insightful. And in fact, some there's a fiction and stranger than fact. But then that's the reality of the day. Our second speaker is
We didn't mute you. Mr. Kwabe, I think you are muted. If you can unmute, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Our second speaker is Mr. Sam Kwasi, who is a digital health cybersecurity expert and a chartered accountant, who is an employee of the Ghana Health Service. He is also a technical team lead for the Better e-Health project sponsored by the EU Commission. He has over 20 years of working experience, spanning the private and public sectors of the healthcare ecosystem in Ghana. He has a passion for digital health and the cybersecurity implications of the use of technology in healthcare, patient safety, and the medical legal ramifications. He holds an MSc, Information Systems Management, from the University of Liverpool, UK. He has been a chartered accountant and a fellow of the Association of Certified Chartered Accountants for the past 23 years. He is a platinum member of the Information Systems and Audit and Control Association and holds 3 IT security certifications. That is Certified Information Systems Auditor, Certified Information Security Manager, and a Certified Data Privacy Solutions Engineer. He has also acquired competences in ethical hacking and digital forensics. He is a certificate professional and proficient in the application of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. Its impact on the delivery of quality health care, medical legal issues surrounding the use of electronic health records, and the confidentiality, privacy, and security of health data. He is well versed in the Six Sigma Green Belt process improvement methodology. He played the leading role in setting up the IT department of the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service, and IT units at the Regional Health Directorate and hospitals. He was the e-health focal person for the development of the Ghana Health Service e-health enterprise architecture in 2009. Health sector ICT policy and strategy in 2005. National e-health policy and strategy 2010, and the draft Ministry of Health digital health strategy in 2019. He served as a member of the Health Sector e-Health Technical Steering Committee and played a leading role in several e-health software deployments. In addition, he also served as the e-health focal person at the National IT Agency and Cybersecurity Authority. He engages in public speaking at the local and international levels on digital health, cybersecurity in healthcare, IT governance, patient safety, and legal and regulatory issues in healthcare. He has carried out over 20 webinars on the digital health landscape. He was the former head of IT, Deputy Director of Finance, in charge of Financial Information Management Systems at the Ghana Health Service Head Office from 2006 to 2010, and the Systems Administrator of the Ministry of Health from 2000 to 2006. Mr. Kwashi, we are all ready for you and to add up to the date on electronic toothbrushes and tools and edge cases. What is there for Ghana Public Health here? Thank you very much, your audience.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, and good evening to everyone. I want to thank the organizers for the invitation, and I think I'm going to speak to the on the topic artificial intelligence, its benefits, threats, and public health, its public health implications. I think we are going to have fun talking about how technology can be leveraged in the improving quality of care, increasing access, helping healthcare professionals make decisions within the public health association or public health practitioners context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the digital health ecosystem, what is the role of artificial intelligence and machine learning in healthcare, how do we harness the potential of AI in healthcare, what are its implications for public health, and then the AI use cases in Ghana. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everybody back the memory lane. So what we've been trying to do over the years is to harness the enormous potential technology offers, or the promise it provides in the improvement of quality of care, increasing access by bridging the digital divide, making sure there's good data, shared data, which addresses issues relating to the data privacy, confidentiality, integrity, as well as also take cognizance of the patient safety issues that could arise from the use of technology. Okay, so conventionally, we've been managing or running a paper, which means that, so if you go to a healthcare facility, what happens is that everything is paper. Your prescription form is paper, your lab record form is paper, the paper is used for the doctor's notes and treatment, and the nurses do their charting all in paper. All of it goes into what is called the patient folder, and then the patient folder is sent to the records department, and that is what you see on the right. By one-to-one, I mean a physician or medical doctor or any healthcare provider who wants to analyze or assess the patient's medical information with the intention of providing quality of care will do that alone. And unless and until he or she is finished, you cannot have access to the record. This in the 21st century is not the ideal situation. And we've moved on into an environment where we've embraced the use of technology. Okay, so we implemented a system that looks like this. Okay. Now, this system is a digital health ecosystem, and the objective is to make sure that the patient's records is accessible and available to a lot more people than the previous arrangements where you had a one-to-one relationship. So this is a one-to-many relationship. So you have multiple healthcare practitioners and third parties who do not play a key role in the administration of care, having access to health data, the software application that is used. We have servers, computing equipment, network infrastructure, the use of smartphones and mobile phones and medical mobile app, as well as smart wearables. So you find a lot of people wearing phones or using smartphones that records their blood pressure, it records their pulse, it also measures their sugar level, and all of these collect data that play a key role in making decisions relating to the person's condition or treatment pathways. In addition to that, people live in houses where they have equipment that also monitor smart hospitals. And when I say smart hospitals, the previous speaker spoke about it. We have an IoT, Internet of Things devices. So the lighting system has sensors that determines whether you need light or not. The air conditioners have sensors that measure the temperature or the cooling of the room, depending on the number of people in the room, plus several other equipments and applications that altogether provides an enabling environment that seeks to make the patient happy. In addition to that, there are also biomedical diagnostic devices that also are used for imaging. And then also there are some applications running on computers that support the surgical practices. There is also the adoption of what is referred to as the blockchain technology, in addition to the implementation of CCTV TV that seeks to provide some safe environment for the practice of medicine. Then also, there's a need to adhere to the legal regulatory frameworks that impinge on the use of technology in care delivery, as well as data storage. So where do you store your data? Do you store your data on-premise, or do you store your data online in the cloud? Where is your data? Who has access to your data? All these issues come into play if you look at the digitalization platform. Then also, after all said and done, care is provided. How do patients pay? In addition to the National Health Insurance Scheme arrangements, if people have to come out and make out-of-pocket payments, there are payment platforms that have been integrated into the data health ecosystem currently being used, implemented in the hospitals. Then finally, because there is data, there's a need also to ensure that there is security. You don't want to sleep and wake up one day and hackers have compromised your data, or you do not have access to the key resource you require to administer healthcare. Okay, so now the infrastructure that I showed generates this health data. Okay, so you get patient data, you get logistic management information, and system data that handles the health commodities, what medical supplies are available, which of them are not available. We also have the diagnostics and devices, the MRI, the CT scans, that also generates data in the form of images. We have the computer and network event data We have the IT security incidents, data that come from the firewalls, the intrusion detection systems, and the intrusion prevention systems. We have log files on who is logging onto the system, what time is the person logging onto the system, what is the person doing when he or she logs on into the system, or what is he or she doing when she accesses our digital diagnostics equipment, and have the person got permission to doing what he or she is doing. All these informations are available in an enabled hospital that has decided to use technology. Now, this information, when you put all together, is referred to as the big data. Okay, and this big data, when put to a structured and organized use, makes the patient happy. It makes the patient happy because then the patient gets better care. The patient gets care when he or she requires it. The patient can be monitored or managed remotely based on this infrastructure that has been put in place. When you have an IT infrastructure that supports this arrangement, it's often referred to as a patient-centric system. So you have applications which have the patient to be the central focus in the delivery of care. Okay, so now with all this, then comes artificial intelligence. Now, I walked you through from a manual system to an automated system, so you get a big picture that artificial intelligence is not a big bang concept. It just doesn't happen. You would have to have some building blocks in place that would generate the data that you require to inform the decisions that you're making concerning the care of the patient. So artificial intelligence simply is an area of computer science that emphasizes the creation of machines that work and react like human beings. So I want to place on record that it's impossible for artificial intelligence to replace the job functions of medical doctors and nurses and other members of the care delivery team. All it does is to try and pretend and react to be a human being, because it has big data information that it can analyze and make some decision to help in the decision-making concerning a patient. What it also means is that the system depicts or mimics brain functions such as learning, speech, recognition and generation, as well as problem solving, vision, and knowledge generation. So this is at the meaning of artificial intelligence. Now, how does this relate to the provision of care? Now, to understand how it relates to provision of care, you must also need to understand what the meaning of machine learning is, because they work together. Machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence and computer science that focuses on the use of data and algorithms to imitate the way that humans learn and gradually improve its accuracy. So you'll realize from the definition of artificial intelligence that is not 100% a takeover of the role of human beings, but is heavily dependent on data and information to enable it behave in the way that a person would do in the hospital setting. It provides software, machines, devices, robots with the ability to learn without human intervention, assistance, or static program instruction. So just walk you through a typical clinical consultation. What happens in an AI setting? So a patient walks to a hospital to see a doctor with pain around the heart. And the doctor listens to the symptoms and then inputs into an electronic health record. Now, electronic health record is a hospital information management system that contains the medical records of the patient, but this is digital and not the paper-based platform. So once you input the data, of course, using the patient ID and other personal identifiable details, it pulls out the patient's latest medical history. Now, assuming the patient has an MRI scan, the computer has the intelligence to process the image that probably the radiologist will be unable to detect and make decisions concerning what it's seeing. Now, if the patient has a smartwatch that is recording his blood pressure and pulse and has a continuous blood glucose monitor, this also helps enhance the quality of the medical record of the patient to support in the doctor in the clinical decision making. But then within the context of artificial intelligence, all of these activities are automated. So at the click of a button, what you get is a personalized treatment pathway for the patient. So that is the role artificial intelligence play in the delivery of care. So following that, you would also have to know what the meaning of an algorithm is. I'm taking my time to explain this to you because in any broad discussion concerning artificial intelligence and machine learning, these terms get to be bandied around and can get you dazed, a little bit dazed if you don't grasp what it really means. But they are not any sophisticated and concept. You just need to have some working understanding of what it is. So when you hear anywhere an algorithm is simply a step-by-step instruction that describes how to perform a task. Okay, so I walked you through steps that took place when the patient went to see a medical doctor with a pain in the heart and what happened eventually. So the processes for executing the function in using a computer-based system is what is defined as an algorithm. So you could have an algorithm for diagnosis and an algorithm for how the disease that had been identified will be treated. In addition to that, you must also understand the meaning of an application programming interface. It's normally referred to as an API, and in the discussion or in work environment, when you interact with IT professionals, they say it in a very fast, high-speed way. You don't even know what they say. There's API, but then it's also a set of standards that govern how software applications talk to each other. Why do we need an API? We need an API because computer systems on their own don't talk to each other. You'd have to make sure you have a framework that triggers the engagement and interaction. For instance, if you happen to roll out an electronic health record in your hospital for the care of patients, and then you buy an MRI or implement an MRI or CT scan or ultrasound, the images generated from the MRI or CT scan do not automatically seamlessly integrate into the MRI, into the electronic health records, unless and until you'd implement an API, which is a set of standards that allow the electronic medical record, which is the software, and the CT scan to speak together. So if you have a CT scan and you have not yet defined or identified what API to you, then what it means is you'll be running two standalone systems. So you have one standalone system, which is the electronic health record, which will have a back-to-back data on the patient's information and medical record. But then what will be missing are all the images that will be generated from the MRIs and the CT scans. It will be impossible to integrate it with the electronic health record because they just don't talk to each other. Then also, one other concept or terminology that also comes up from time to time is interoperability. So you would hear that, oh, we have a digital lab analyzer, we have an MRI or CT scan, but we have interoperability challenges, or we are trying to address interoperability issues. These terms are often used loosely, but then I think within the context of the adoption of technology in the delivery of care, you need to understand that when we speak about interoperability, there are 4 components of interoperability. There is a technical component of the interoperability, which looks at hard devices. The synthetic also component of it, which looks at the information, the documents that are supposed to talk to each other. There's the semantic interoperability, and then also there's the organizational interoperability, which often deals with the clinical workflow or pathway in the delivery of care, or identifying diagnosis and its treatment and pathway. So these are broadly the terminologies that you should have at your fingertips in any discussion relating to artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I thought I should share with you some uses of artificial intelligence worldwide, and then I'll dovetail into what's happening in the local environment. So this is an artificial intelligence-driven robot nurse assistant called Pepe. So this humanoid is a nurse assistant which has been deployed in a hospital called Townsville Hospital in Queensland, in Australia, and they work with the nurses. They help the nurses execute some functions in the hospital environment. And I've been thinking, what will happen if we get one of these in our hospitals, maybe Kolebu Teaching Hospital or the Rate Hospital? What will be the patient's reaction to having to meet Pepe, and Pepe speaking to you in whatever dialect that you know when you visit the hospitals? So this is one use of AI in the medical world. Then also, this is a robot midwife. So you can also imagine one of these at the maternity block or ward in a hospital with somebody's wife and newborn baby, singing a lullaby to get the baby to sleep or something. But it's AI is real and it's in practice worldwide. Then also we have a robot counselor, which in developed advanced countries speak to elderly patients and interact with them in terms of how regular they take their medicines, the do's and don'ts relating to their age profile, and they're supposed to be friends. Okay, so then we also have the precision medicine driven by artificial intelligence and machine learning, which also happens in the form of a robot surgical assistant. So you have a robot supporting the surgeon, okay, in the performance of some surgical section in the healthcare. Then also we have the MRI, and previously, I recall a couple of years ago, when you do any imaging, the form, and then you have to take the form to a radiologist, you have to leave it there and come back for a report some days later. Now, all of these are digitalized. You get your information real time, you get your report real time. It happens with digital precision and pinpoint accuracy. If you want a soft copy of your imaging, you get a soft copy of your imaging. And if the diagnostic equipment was implemented in conformity with the DICOM standards, what it means is that then it can be integrated with any electronic health records anytime, any day, anywhere. Then in addition to that, we also have AI-driven digital lab analyzers that tend to now also undertake examination and analysis of specimens, and also generate the test real time. And then if these are integrated with your electronic health record, you have addressed the API related issues, you get a seamlessly integrated electronic health records, and it's a one-stop, which supports one-stop decision making. And then finally, we also have what we call the electronic health record. So this is like the backbone of every healthcare operation, and the data that is available from the electronic health records plays a key role in not only the providing care to the patient, but also influencing decisions relating to broad public health policies in terms of surveillance and disease management and what comes with it. Okay, so we are all aware currently of the power behind the smartphone and the smartwatches and medical mobile apps. There are a couple of sites I was reading about a breakthrough in AI using AI in dermatology, where you can now use the camera of your cell phone to take a picture of your skin, upload it to a site, and it will tell you whether your skin is in good health or you have some disease that will require that you see a dermatologist. So this is how far AI has impacted on the healthcare ecosystem, and with the aim of helping healthcare providers improve or provide quality care to the patient. Okay, now all of this is happening because of big data. Without clean, genuine, organized data, there will be no discussion on artificial intelligence, because you need the data within the context of machine learning for all these systems and applications to support the clinical decision making. So without defined, structured, and clean data, it's impossible. It will be a Herculean task to adapt some form of artificial intelligence. Okay, now, as I mentioned in my earlier slides, the adoption of artificial intelligence in healthcare delivery is not a big bang, must not be a big bang approach. It must be done in a structured and organized manner. The digitalization of healthcare operations, which of course includes the adoption of artificial intelligence, encompasses several stages. There's a stage that is referred to as digitization. So the digitization stage is where you seek to convert all your paper-based records into a machine-readable format. So if you have a paper-based medical records, then you would have to scan them using some optical character recognition devices that would transcribe or translate the handwriting into a format that can be incorporated into a software application to support advanced decision making. Once you move from the realm of digitization into having your records in a digital format, you get to the level of digitalization. So digitalization is where you apply several software application, artificial intelligence and system tools, machine learning tool into the decision making. This whole process is referred to as the digital transformation. So you cannot just decide that you are going to buy a robot because you want to embark on a robotic surgery or you want to do AI for dermatology. It doesn't work that way. Chances are that you are going to be confronted with some structural bottlenecks, and that will not be a proper use of resources. You would also be putting the patient's life at risk if things are not done in a structured and organized manner. Now, the use of technology, of course, including artificial intelligence and machine learning, is also regulated in the country. You cannot just do what you want. Within the context of policy, we have regulators in the space. So we have the National IT Agency, which regulates the hardcore technical infrastructure, connectivity, what computing and networking devices are permissible, must be used, what best practices must be adhered to, what standards must be adhered to. We have the National IT Agency doing that. And the Act has designated the health sector as a protected computer and critical database. Then we have the Cybersecurity Authority, which also seeks to have oversight on ensuring that an enabling safe computing environment is created and is available in the adoption of technology, irrespective of what the sector is, because you don't want a major data breach of patient records. That's the last thing you want to happen. And so they have some prescribed guidelines and protocols that must be adhered to as we move towards the artificial intelligence ecosystem. In addition to that, we also have the Data Protection Act, which is implemented or managed by the Data Protection Commission, and their focus is on personal identifiable information. So there are a couple of things you can do with data, and there are other things that you are not required to use people's data for. It is mandated, and once you do it, there's a possibility that you would be confronted with a medical legal issue. And finally, the National Communications Authority also plays a role. Communication Authority has an e-health lab, and what they do is the high-end diagnostics equipment and other surgical equipment need to be stamped by or approved by the National Communication Authority before they can be implemented in their country. So these four regulators in the data workspace play a fantastic role in ensuring that a safe computing environment is created for the adoption of technology, and also have implemented some building blocks to ensure that patients are safe when it comes to the use of technology. Okay, so as I did mention, Section 55 of the Electronic Transaction Act 2008 classifies e-health as a protected computer and critical database. So the moment you move into the realm of artificial intelligence, machine learning, it might be clear in your mind that the ecosystem is described as a protected computer and critical database, and there are some guidelines that must be adhered to. It's by force. It's not negotiable, and it's not discretionary. Section 35 of the Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1038, also designates health as a critical information infrastructure. So if you read further on, it tells you that it also has national security implications. So we all need to be compliant as we embrace technology. And then finally, the Data Protection Act, Section 27 of the Data Protection Act 843 also requires institutions that collect data to register as a data protection, register with the Data Protection Commission as a data controller or data processor. If you recall, I did mention that the whole concept of artificial intelligence and machine learning is driven by big data. And once you get to that realm, you would have to adhere to the requirement of the Data Protection Commission under the Act. Okay, so what are the possible and useful applications of artificial intelligence in healthcare? I mean, I love artificial intelligence because of the great promise it holds and offers when it comes to the delivery of care. It holds great promise for diagnosis. Okay, so there are some diagnoses that are better done when it gets to when you use artificial intelligence and machine learning. So let me use an example of multiple images generated from an MRI or CT scan or ultrasound. Now, because of the inbuilt artificial intelligence or machine learning, you get real-time responses or reports to on images that are generated using an MRI, and if it is related to a medical condition, this is also done real time. Artificial intelligence also helps in prescribing personalized treatment pathways. So it looks at all the details of my medical conditions in my patient folder. Okay, so do I take alcohol? What is my age? Do I exercise regularly? Do I have a family history of some medical condition? What is my BMI? How many children do I work? Do I work in a high stress environment? Somehow it can put all together and say, listen, you need to control your stress level. It can even prescribe my diet. I need to exercise a certain number of hours a day. So it's specific, customized care delivery. And you get this done from using AI systems. There's also the behavior modification, which comes in the form of promoting healthy lifestyle. So if we have a high incidence of malaria or tuberculosis or HIV, AIDS, you can design AI driven messages targeted at specific age segments that will help them modify their behaviors and also prevent them from being predisposed to contracting certain diseases. AI also is great when it comes to follow-up care. The implementation of AI has helped, I think, mostly healthcare institutions to cut down on the brick-and-mortar visits that patients make, and also guaranteed the follow-up source of income. So instead of patients visiting the hospital, the brick-and-mortar hospital, you can do a video consult using an AI platform, and also engage the patient just as you would do if the patient come to the hospital. There are also AI-enabled handheld devices, so they can take their own blood pressure, they can check their own sugar level, they can check other vitals that ordinarily you would have to walk to a hospital to get it done, but you can do it and then forward it to your physician and or connect it to a database where an alert is sent to the physician to help make the better clinical decision. Then also there's also the what is referred to as the computer vision. Okay, so what the computer vision is that the AI serves as an eye. I recall during the outbreak of the COVID-19, we had this infrared thermometers was operating using the computer vision. So it has a facial recognition application, and that also is integrated with other algorithms, and those facial recognition functionality and algorithms to tell your body temperature and other related conditions. Okay, so I also spoke about the remote monitoring of patients. Now, this is also applicable in the implementation of telemedicine or other teleradiology or teleconsultation applications, where you have two healthcare institutions, one in the urban areas and then one in the rural areas. And because the rural areas do not have the full complement of the expertise of specialists in those locations, they can benefit from those resources available in the urban areas or the teaching hospitals via telemedicine application or systems. Okay, so I spoke about the vision. There's also the vision to screen for skin, to take a shot of whatever skin condition you have, upload it to an AI-enabled web portal, which will run its analysis and provide you with what the results are. There's also the speech-to-text conversion, and the speech-to-text conversion has been in existence for a long, but it's now been enhanced by the AI. So now, instead of a medical doctor taking, longhand notes, you can speak to a microphone, speak in a microphone, and this microphone will transcribe everything that you are speaking to it into the patient's electronic health records, and also vice versa. You can also ask it to, do it the other way around in the event that the patient wants a medical report. Then there's also the chatbots. Now the chatbot has been great for creating a great or fantastic patient experience in the healthcare ecosystem. So more often than not, is difficult due to the shortage of healthcare practitioners to have some extended engagement or conversation with a healthcare practitioner concerning your medical condition. Now, this chat box is like a customer service function. So you can get to make inquiries about some medication that you are taking. You can get to make inquiries about your health condition, and you get real-time feedback, and it's resulted in enhanced patient satisfaction. But then it must be done in the proper context, because there could be patient safety issues. Assuming the chatbot gives you wrong information, who do you hold responsible? And so these are ethical issues that from time to time need to be addressed. And then finally, there is the robotic surgery. I showed you a couple of images of how robots with machine learning functionalities can assist surgeons perform surgical procedures. Okay, so now what do we need to know or understand if we want to harness the potential of AI in healthcare? First and foremost, we need to understand our ecosystem and also identify what the gap is. So the gap between the human and the machines, what are the gaps? Okay, by what are the gaps are the medical doctors and other members of the healthcare team ready to work with artificial intelligence? How would patients respond to it? I was sharing some marketing strategy with a friend who had a big private hospital, and I was recommending the use of robots at the OPD, and I thought it would be a great, branding arrangement. And he asked a question that I had never thought about it. So he said, what if a patient comes to the hospital and the patient gets welcomed by a robot, and the patient starts speaking in Cree, okay, to the robot. So I said, what exactly would the patient say in Cree? Because if you decide to use robots in your hospital, you would require you attract some elitist, patients. So obviously it's not open to them. And it was interesting the way the conversation went. So he said, if the patient is a guy, and the patient will say that, which literally in Ga means that the lands in Accra is for us and we do not know, they are not part of the team. And then if the person is a fancy person will say, Miraji, mewu, and then the person can collapse, then if the person is also an Ashanti, you will say, hey, if you're not, nipa no nipa or bana so bema. So I found it interesting because I was looking at the public health perspective of it in terms of awareness creation, and when it gets to the use of artificial intelligence, we might think that if you would get some equipment and implement it in the hospital and assure patients of first-class, safe healthcare provision, people will walk in, but people might not walk in if the proper awareness creation is not created. So these are some of the gaps that we must understand in the adoption of technology if you want to leverage on it in the provision of care. The next thing is data governance. So all these devices that I mentioned, the hospital information management system, the X-ray machine, the MRI, all of it, the data, and who does it belong to? Who is the owner of the data? How many people have access to the data? Do the vendors of the devices have access to the data? What is the nature of the data? So all these are issues that needs to be addressed. How about the fragmented nature of systems in the ecosystem? So you have every system connected, collecting its data. Okay, so MRI has its data, hospital information management system have their own data, finance have their data. All these data needs to be put together in a seamlessly connected manner to make meaningful or support meaningful decision making. Okay, so what are the safeguards? Safeguards in terms of not only physical security, but safeguards in terms of warding off unauthorized access to the patient data emanating from hackers, because this system most of the time are connected to the internet, and we know what can happen to you if you do not have robust and resilient security architecture to safeguard not only the health data, but also give assurance of its privacy, its confidentiality, and its integrity. The previous speaker spoke about the bias in the ML data structure. Because the artificial intelligence and machine learning system are managed by an algorithm, you could introduce bias into the data that is used for the machine learning purposes, and it could impact on the clinical decision making. And then also the big data concept. So what is our understanding and the systems we have in place to harness big data to support the overall adoption of AI? Okay, so what are the challenges? There are a couple of challenges that are obstacle when it comes to the use of AI. So the first one is that, and I did mention about this insufficient high quality data. You need high quality data to support AI implementation. Then also, what is the level of trust by doctors in AI solutions? Okay, so do the doctors themselves and other healthcare providers, do they really trust the AI solutions. That also needs to be addressed. Then also there is also inadequate patient engagement. So how would patient react to going to have a face-to-face meeting with a medical doctor, and then if it's a 30 minutes session, about 30-minute session, about 25 of the minutes is spent typing and clicking away. How would you explain to the patient that this typing and clicking is all geared towards making informed decision to the condition that was presented to the patient? Then also, a lot of the time, there is an overemphasis on flashy pilots of AI projects at the expense of easily scalable solutions. So I walked you through the AI solutions, applicable AI solutions, which of them do not require high-end devices and adapted instead of having one big bank shining AI projects, which might not work well or might not be accepted by everyone. Then also finally, there is an inadequate technological infrastructure, especially low and middle income countries. So what is the status of our network infrastructure to adapt AI in any healthcare institution, or as a strategy? There should be high-end, resilient, and robust network infrastructure in any healthcare facility for the purposes of smooth interchange and also sharing of data. Once this does not exist, you're going to have bottlenecks. You're going to have situations where the data throughput, that is data moving from one end to the other end, takes almost forever. I often hear of situations where you go to hospital, healthcare institutions, and when you require data at a point in time, they will tell you that the network, article. Okay, so article, you don't know. And that is what the expression used to describe your network connectivity has gone offline. And you don't want that to happen in any AI enabled environment. So what are the implications of AI for public health? I hold the view that when it comes to the use of technology, there are three key areas that one needs to address. So the first one is the people issue. There are also the processes issue, and there's also the technology issue. More often than not, a lot of emphasis is spent on the technology, and we do a big bang IT procurement and buy the equipment and the devices and software application, forgetting that there are major people issues, and there are also issues that relate to some policy guidelines, procedures, strategies. All of these are not put into context when the issues are addressed. So starting from the people issue, the first people issue that needs to be addressed is the patient. How does all of these issues that I've spoken about rubs off the patient within the context of assuring the patient of some patient-centric application that would guarantee good health, better health, in a safe computing environment? What about the healthcare providers themselves? What change management system will be the biomedical IT professional who would have oversight over the infrastructure? Okay. Then also there's also the third party vendors who would have to get remote access to troubleshoot and fix the system when there's a system failure. And then finally the policy makers. So it's important. And then also the governance arrangement that will be put in place. You cannot run an AI successfully if you don't have an AI governance arrangement in place. Now, these AI governance arrangements must have stakeholders who are subject matter experts who understand the ecosystem. So any discussion on the adoption of AI or any digitalization must definitely involve members from the National IT Agency, members from the Data Protection Commission, and members from the cybersecurity, because they will be asking questions that we do not, as healthcare practitioners, do not have the expertise to, so identify. Okay. So then also the next one is the process. So definitely there has to be some strategy, some guidelines, some framework to help the adapters of AI, the care delivery. How do you fund AI investments? What are the plans for recovering AI investment? How do we scale up the AI investment? So what happens if AI goes wrong and there are multiple medical legal issues? What systems will be in place to support all those when it happens? And then also within the context of the technology and cybersecurity, what specific investment do we need to make in AI equipments and devices, and how do we do an equipment refresh? An equipment refresh is no equipment and lasts forever. It will probably take you 5-10 years. But getting to the end of the useful life of the devices, diagnosis equipment, what mechanisms or systems are in place to ensure that they are replaced and then they are just not abandoned because there are no funds to support it. So I hold the view that looking at the people issues, the process issues, and the technology issues are the bedrock for any public health discussion when it comes to the adoption of technology, whether it's AI or any other one. Okay, so I'll share with you with country-specific AI use cases, which I was part of. Now, I don't know how many of you know of the National Tuberculosis Control Program. They had a teleradiology project. Now, what this teleradiology project did seek to do was to help identify and accelerate the case detection of TB cases in areas where they didn't have radiologists, as well as the digital X-ray equipment. So what they did was they bought digital X-ray equipments in about 50 locations nationwide. These digital X-rays were embedded with, as the previous speaker said, Internet of Things, that is IoT-enabled devices, and also the TB control program head office had a command and control center. So when you walk to any of these locations and your images are taken, because there's nobody available, there is a transmission of your images to the command and control center. And what the command and control center did do was they had an AI-enabled computer for TB software application that interpreted the images, and then they send the report to the initiating location with guidelines on recommended treatment protocols for the patient that they come. In addition to that, they did take the details of phone. When I say details, also phone numbers and email addresses of the patient that visited those locations. So they had a kind of remote monitoring and tracking mechanism, and they had a system for tracking whether you had your medication and whether you do take your medication on time. The telelaboratory works in the same vein, except the fact that this also had an integrated logistics and supply chain mechanism where they could track the usage of consumption. So if the data lab analyzers did do, let's say, 1,000 tests, somehow the AI could calculate the consumption or the usage level of the reagents and other logistics that had been consumed level, and that no way where if the feedback or result that was generated was done, they ran out of stock, and they also managed to track all patients that visited their center. So I am done with my presentation, and thank you very much. If there are any questions, I would like to take.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We will move quickly to comments and questions and answers, and then I will ask Mr. Musa to also make an input. And so if you have any question or comment, you raise your hand, and you'll be called either by James or myself, as the case may be. I have seen one comment from Jerome, and he says that if data is the lifeblood of AI, then the quantity, the quality, and the relevance of the data significantly impact the performance. And I think that is definitely true. Any other comment, question, you raise your hand and we will call you. Mr. Kwashi, you can stop sharing so that we can see the hands if any. You can always, yes, good. Is there anybody? Yes, I can see Dr. Charity Sapon. You are welcome, Regional Director for Greater Accra. You can unmute and talk.
Thank you, Dr. Mufa. I'm not the Regional Director of Greater Accra Region. I retired last week, so I am here at the
well, I haven't sanctioned that one.
I want to say a big echo to both presenters, that is Joshua and Mr. Kwashi, for the brilliant presentation that has been made. But I want to say that I see some slight differences in the sense that Joshua took us through, the modern application of AI as it is happening in the developed countries, whilst, some also helped us to understand how gradually, we are bringing AI into our healthcare delivery system. I believe that if we are to use AI effectively in the nation, it will help us address some of our human resource challenges, data challenges, efficiency challenges, and other things. But as much as we can do that, if it's not well managed, it can also have negative effects on the public health activities or on healthcare delivery. So if it's a way, we can't say we will not go that way. It's something that we will have to go, but then we will need to make sure that we get down very good policies that will address and manage the effective use of AI to our advantage. Thank you, and over.
Thank you. We will take one or two more. Jerome, I can see your hand on mute and talk.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. The two panelists and speakers did, I think, justice to the topic. And I think I asked a question in the comment section, but they couldn't read the other part of the question. Like the previous participant commented, I wanted to find out whether the health system in Ghana or i.e. the MWH in general has any policy direction in the implementation of AI in a health service in Ghana. So is there any framework developed in this direction? Because you have a lot of applications which we are using currently, and then most of them have some of those AI. Okay, let me say we generate a lot of data which is stored somewhere in silos, but are not properly used or they are not harnessed. So, is there any policy direction or any document that directs how this can be harnessed so that we can effectively make use of AI and what advantages it brings to the health system in Ghana? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we take the last person, Agana in Siri, then after that we'll take the responses from some question in Joshua. Thank you.
Dr. Agana, you can unmute and speak.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Thank you very much. Thanks to Mr. Kwashi. If it's a Kwashi I knew before I left the system, thank you very much for that very good presentation. Unfortunately, I joined late, so I didn't hear Joshua, or is it Joshua's presentation? Now, taking off from the last questioner about policy, are we thinking in those three areas that Kwashi mentioned towards the end of the presentation: people, processes, and I think the other thing was what? Something. I think it had to do with policy or something like that.
Is it technology? I think it's technology.
Yes. Now, are we thinking seriously if there is a policy and we are moving there? Because you talked about the TB, radiology, and other things that's already taking place. Are we thinking seriously in the processes or technology area about production, local production of equipment? Are we going to, I guess those things that have come for the TB and other things, I guess they have all been imported. So are we thinking seriously of local production, and therefore the process of starting not necessarily with the services as of now, but the knowledge base and the skills base for ensuring that we produce the machines locally for that? Because I know there are some universities in Ghana that are already, doing things like that. If we can take that into consideration as we think about policies and other things on the way going forward. But to end it, I will always say that if I can go into a machine and come out with all my illnesses gone, I wouldn't mind at all, instead of going to a human being who will assure me and comfort me, and then I'll still go home with my diseases. So AI, let's give it a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May we have some responses from Dr. Kwashi and Jason? Regulations, policies in place, and the human, yeah.
Okay, so thank you for the questions. I am not aware of any AI policy under the Ministry of Health that have been finalized, but I know there have been some discussions on the need to address these emerging address enhance the emerging technology as well as the potential that it presents. So, and I also agree with Dr. Agana that, and Dr. Agana is the same question, anyway. So what often happens when it gets to the use of emerging technologies, as is referred such as AI, is that countries or institutions create an innovation hub, like what Joshua is doing, and then mandate the innovation hub to come up with AI-enabled software solutions or applications or devices that can be used to address some of our challenges. So yes, I'm sure in a couple of years we'll have our own AI, country-specific applications as well as AI devices. But I don't think it should be difficult to have an AI chat bots where you can speak in whatever dialect you want in the form of a mobile app and interact with that app concerning your medical conditions, such as maybe or a lifestyle disease, maybe malaria, TB, HIV, or any of cardiovascular. I don't think it should be difficult, but what is missing is that they don't seem to be the what's the word? We have to be intentional about it, okay? And I don't see that that aspect of it in the digital health ecosystem. What we do most of the time is buy the devices, outsource the development of the software application, but in-house, we haven't built the competences and skill sets required to address or take advantage of the power that AI offers in the healthcare delivery. I'm done.
Jason, can you make any input on that? Any of the three inputs?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So to add to what Mr. Samuel Kwashi had shared, I think when it comes to policy-wise, the Ministry of Communication has started some work on AI framework, a national AI framework, but it's not yet passed by Parliament yet. So we're still waiting. And it's also focused more, not necessarily on industry specific, but a national framework of which engineers, developers can work within for all industries of our country. When it comes to the talents, I think Ghana, we should be able to be building some medical tools, especially from our universities that are offering biomedical engineering. Because if you study that program, your projects are all supposed to be health-related innovations or solutions. So I think if we have a policy that would also ensure that students studying these programs are coming out with innovations that address our challenges, then we can get some innovation coming from our local industry. When it comes to the medical space too, it's a bit complex to innovate because of the challenges, regulatory bodies and all that. So it takes some time to be able to develop innovations that will be accepted in the medical space compared to the other sectors. So these are some of the challenges too we innovators we face when going to the industry with innovation. When it comes to the human skills development, yes, a lot is going on here in Ghana. So in Ghana, we currently have the AI Association of Ghana and then AI Ghana and a number of AI startups that are also building innovations in the area of AI. and we have a few of them building or focus on healthcare. So I mentioned earlier about one startup called Mino Health by a young Ghanaian. And he has been able to go so far to the extent that he works with WHO, Bill Gates Foundation, among other big international corporations on global projects. So that's how far, when it comes to talent, Ghanaians are excelling in the area of AI in the medical space. So I think collectively a lot is going on. If we're able to get a good policy direction that is guiding us, we'll be able to also incentivize the young innovators to be able to pick up and solve challenges we're facing in the industry. I think this is what I can share with regards to their questions. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we will take about 2 or 3 more, and then we will invite Mr. Musa to make some last-minute comments, and then we bring the session to a close. If there are any questions, contributions, unless you have been hypnotized by the terminologies and innovations and other things. But Mr. Joshua, just one question. What is the STEM project actually about? Isn't it building something towards that, what we are thinking of, or is it only toys and other things?
Okay, so the STEM program look at an interdisciplinary learning that involves science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And we've even gone ahead to even add arts. So it's now STEAM. And the reason why this has become necessary for students today is because it's inspired problem-based learning, project-based learning, experiential learning, collaboration, teamwork, among others. So this has been proven to be the only way we can prepare the younger generation for this 21st century generation that is, or revolution that is happening. From the job loss we looked at, if you look at the future of work, it's predicted that even students who are in primary school to junior high school, the kind of industries and jobs they'll be doing, they do not exist yet. So this has been the best approach to be able to train them or give them education that could give them the skills that will enable them to be able to work in the industry. So with the Ghana STEM Network, we basically focus on making STEM education or practical learning accessible to students so that they'll be able to acquire the skills that would help them to survive in the generation ahead. My organization, the IoT Network Hub, it's a non-for-profit focusing on ensuring that all these new technologies that are coming up, AI, robotics, 3D print, even 3D printers today, you can print bones, tissues, hearts, among others, for patients, right? We are not teaching them in the universities. And these are new technologies that are creating new industries. So as an organization, what we do is to do a lot of research in these areas and provide skills training in all these emerging technologies so that we can be able to start building local innovations using them. The challenges with these new technologies are they are demographic specific. So for example, we can pick an AI system from US and use it in Ghana for it to work 100%. It won't, because we need Ghana data to train the AI models so that we'll be able to recognize our data and be able to give us the expected outcome. So it brings a challenge or throws up a challenge for us to make sure that we are building local systems using our local data and all that, so that we'll be able to solve our problems using these technologies. So that's what IoT Network Hub we do, ensuring that we are building local capacity in these new fields to be able to create local solutions to solve our local problems.
Thank you very much. We will take a last contribution from Dr. Tsegan, and then I'll invite Mr. Musa to make his input.
Yes, thank you, Joshua, and then Sami, for the great contribution. Joshua mentioned that they want to add A to the STEAM, to make it STEAM. And that's where my contribution is coming from. In the context of mega data, artificial intelligence, we need to incorporate in our training of health personnel more of the arts, psychology, sociology, relational skills, communication skills, cultural skills, because those are the issues that actually relate to the type of data that we have to generate in our environment. If we don't teach our scientists, our doctors, our nurses, our lab people to understand our culture, to understand our society, to understand the psychology of our people, then we will not be able to generate the data that we will need to profit us in our environment. So I see that the Registrar for Medical and Dental Council is also on the platform. And I've been raising this all the time that we need to change start from our training institution, to change and add the arts parts, psychology, sociology, communication skills, relational skills, cultural skills, because it's upon that, those in that science is built. So I'm just asking what the two presenters think about the suggestion that I am making. Thank you very much.
Okay, if there's any quick intervention, I think it's more of a suggestion, which is definitely important. And the mere fact that they've incorporated it in the STEM to now STEAM means that what you've said is absolutely important and in development. But if there's any quick intervention, it can be made. Otherwise, I will invite Mr. Musa Issa. He is the Deputy Director, Regulations and Compliance for the National IT Agency, NITA. Mr. Musa, if you can unmute yourself and then make contribution, and if you have any comment on any of the questions or contributions, you can also add it, and then we bring the session to a close.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to participate in this wonderful webinar. Indeed, the two presenters have paved way for me to identify the reason why NITA exists. We may ask, why do we exist? Indeed, we exist to mitigate the challenges of information technology. In other words, today we say digitalization. By our mandate, we are supposed to regulate ICT, promote standard, ensure quality of ICT, as well as quality of service. If all these things I've mentioned is to be implemented and comply with, we wouldn't express fear of AI. From the regulator's point of view, we see AI as a tool to create value in whatever business we are into. For instance, creating value for healthcare delivery, to enhance our decisions and then enhance the way we take care of patients. First of all, what we do as creating the standard to help us do whatever work we do is to produce a blueprint. Indeed, we produced a document which was to guide us in our technology deployment and implementation. I know some of you may be aware of the enterprise architecture that Ghana Health Service or the health sector developed somewhere 2008. That was developed to help you in using technology, in designing the sort of technology that will help you achieve your goals. It's like creating the infrastructure and then adding on to whatever technology that you think you will need, like plug and play of a sort. This document, Mr. Kwashi mentioned implication of AI, mention of the people, process, and technology. These issues come from the enterprise architecture, and it gives us a future direction as to how technology will inure benefit to us. So if we are implementing this document, we would have made provision to whatever challenges AI brings with. We have a solution to it. So we, the regulators, normally see how to implement AI to inure to our benefit by observing the role of GRC, which is governance, risk, and compliance. Governance is taken from the enterprise architecture blueprint, where it tells you how you behave from, you deal with the people involved in that equation, how the processes must be observed, and how to create an interoperable environment so that whatever exists at Korle Bu or Komfo-Anokye, you will see it in Tamale. Teaching hospital, whatever happens at any teaching hospital, you see the processes in the same manner. And the devices or equipment that are used also are used in the same manner and can interact with one another. And these days we have intelligent devices and equipment, and they are required to talk to one another, to share information, to share data. The architecture will tell you what are the security protocols that you need to use. How do you protect patient data? The architecture will tell you. And how to authenticate the identities within that environment. It will give you that overview. So if you are implementing it in that manner, you address all the challenges that the first speaker mentioned. In Ghana, there was a question as to whether we have policy. Yes, government has noted the challenges and the resistance that globally AI seems to gather. And indeed, it's not to us, regulated, it's not anything new to us, because in history, all the phases of the Industrial Revolution, people resisted. So it is normal for people to resist, but if there's available information with time, the resistance will fizzle out, because the challenges will have a mitigating solution to those challenges. And those are, if you are following the standards, you will not have to face those challenges. Again, what NITA we normally also look for is identifying those risks and preferring the risk management solutions to them. Having done that, you'll be able to maximize the value of AI in our activities. Again, we look at compliance. We need to also adhere to complying to rules, complying to standards, complying to the legal environment. In Ghana, we have a lot of legal regulations that will help us address and mitigate the challenges that AI will bring. Yes, with respect to key risk areas or resistant areas, that is the security, privacy, ethics, and the rest. We have a solution to that. The policy, AI policy is, as the first speaker said, is currently being developed and is headed by Data Protection Commission. And the policy is going to look at how we mitigate the negative effects, in addition to other things, how we mitigate the negative effects of AI. Presently, the issue of security and authenticating people, devices are key. And we have the infrastructure available to do that. And the infrastructure is an offshoot of public key infrastructure, where we can authenticate devices within a network. For instance, the intelligent devices of the health sector could be authenticated such that you can easily identify them. If there's any issues of security, you can easily identify that issue within your network. So these are activities or things that NITA is bringing into play to help us harness the potential of AI. The authentication of devices can also will also be followed by a digital signature that will also authenticate doctors, health workers, and people in a network. So whatever is coming from, let's say, a doctor in Korle Bu will be authenticated by Komfo Anokye. This is done in order that cyber challenges where AI will be prone to is nipped in the bud. So these are some of the things that NITA is bringing on board in order that we maximize the use of technology, emerging technology. And to end it all, what we are looking for is the adherence of policies, adherence of the legal system, for instance, the laws that forbid, the laws that guide us against data privacy, against intrusion of personal data, or things that is not allowed, but yet it is happening in the environment where data, personal data is leaked, people sell data and all those things. Those are the challenges that when we adhere to proper implementation regime, we will not hear, we will not see it. There's also an angle where if we don't comply with these IT principles, those who are good in IT can use the system and manipulate the system. So if we are observing proper IT deployment or implementation, this will not happen. Indeed, as we move deeply into the digitalization environment, the negative effect of it is pronounced if we don't follow proper deployment regime, i.e. the use of enterprise architecture, the use of proper IT protocols, and professionalism, IT professionalism observance. I will end here, and if there's any question with respect to what I've said, I'll be ready to respond to. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Musa. James will give the closing vote of thanks, but I just want to acknowledge all of you, especially I can see my good friend AB. And I can't mention everybody, but at least he's obviously around, and so I acknowledge his presence and want to thank you all. I'm sure what we have tried to do is to open our eyes or horizon wider and wider to what is currently happening in the world. I mean, so that we are not too narrow. If even AI is not our area, we should still be able to understand what is happening, give constructive analysis and impulse anywhere we find ourselves. And even more importantly, network. Now that we know who the players in the field, NITA and others, I'm sure some of you will be able to network with you and see what needs to be done moving forward in different areas. And so I'll invite James to say one or two thanks, and then we will bring the session to a close and you end with a closing prayer.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Mofa. Once again, thank you to our speakers for making time to join us for this insightful discussion. And thank you so much to all of us for participating. Today we are closing a bit late, but you can see all of us are interested in the discussion. So Sebi, thank you to you for coming. And just to say that we'll be having other sessions before the year, and that should be in December. So let's please prepare. Once the time is due and we share the link and then the invitation, you'll kindly join us. Thank you very much. And let me also add that it will be also streamed live. It was streamed live on our YouTube channel. So you can always go to it if you want to make reference of the presentation, of the slides. You can just reference it and then you can get whatever you need from there. So as Dr. Mofa said, I'll say the closing prayer and then I'll thank you all. So let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you so much for taking us through this insightful discussion. May this be the beginning of us being able to open our minds what we've learned now and say our best can utilize it for the best of our people we attend to as public health practitioners. And also for those of us who are even not within the mainstream public health practice, but are being able to go through this presentation, we also get the best out of it. Please give us good night rest and protect us all the days of our lives. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Amen.